Hey, welcome to Texas Football Talk. I'm your host, 𝗟𝗓𝗏𝗘, once again joined by, not my brother this time, we have outstanding offensive line guru and teacher to the following athletes: DJ Campbell, Andre Cojoe, and Trevor Goosby. How you doing, Zach?
I'm doing great today, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I just started vacation. I was just telling you, I got 11 days off, and I'm excited about, we're 60 days away from football, and I get a chance to talk to a technician and teacher like yourself, who has, had insight with a lot of these Texas football players and these commitments. So I'm going to hit you with that first question.
Okay.
As an offensive line trainer, you had to have some background in football, right? So can you share with us exactly what your playing career, and then how you transitioned into coaching?
Okay, so quickly, from Arlington, Texas, I played at Arlington Seguin my first 3 years, from freshman to junior year. Started on varsity two of those years. I played center, and then my senior year, I transferred over to Prime Prep, Deion Sanders School, and that's where I met Coach O. Signed out of high school to Alabama A&M University. Spent the year there, redshirted, 10 hours away from home, Texas kid. Had to get back my way.
Makes perfect sense.
Yes. So didn't really enjoy it. Like I said, redshirted. So I got back home. Went to school for a year, just school. I'm not going to say just because it's the maroon color school, and I know we already talked about this. But I also went there, didn't really like it, and I'm fiending to get back on the football field. So I hit up my best friend like, hey, do y'all need linemen? Lucky enough, they was down to 7 linemen at PV. And I went down there, and it was just probably the best experience of my life. But at the same time, that also – so me redshirting, I had to learn the game from the opposite side, because you got to think, I've been starting since I was 4 years old. So you go from 4 to 18, you're the man. And then at 18, it's like, hey, you're behind 4 people. Like, what you going to do now? Like, what does it really mean to you? So that humbled me. So then once I go to PV, I'm sitting behind a South Alabama transfer. Kid that's bigger than me, more athletic. But my thing over him is learning the game, learning the system, learning technique, and then expressing it to him like what he's supposed to do. And that's how I got into it, and, played a couple games here and there. That was my junior year. My senior year, I started the last games of the season, started on national television against Jackson State. And it was just, I had an extra year, but it just wasn't, like, I knew my career had reached its peak. Like, I knew I wasn't going to the NFL, and I had figured, okay, I'm going to figure out what I want to do. But at this same time, Coach O, who was my offensive line coach at Prime Prep, I had always been in his pocket. Like, he was letting me make highlight videos. He was letting me, work with linemen. He has camps in Houston, which ultimately we'll get to later in the show, where I'm going out, and initially it's other coaches there working with the offensive line. By the second camp I go to, he like, hey, Zach, go run it. Like, go do it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just doing, like, indie drills. Like, okay, let's just prepare like we're going into a game, because it's a camp. We do individual and then you go do one-on-ones. That was what we'll get to that question later, but that's how I just ultimately got into it. And one of the kids from there, he happened to be from where I was from. So he was from Mansfield, and he was like, Zach, I want you to train me. Now he's a 2-year starter at Texas Tech, Caleb Rogers. So that was the first kid that ever was like, Zach, I want you to train me. And I thought about it. I said, okay, let's do it. But once I graduated from PV, I was, like I said, I went to school for communication. So thought I wanted to be on ESPN. Thought that was just like I was supposed to be in front of the camera. And I had an ESPN Houston internship, and it just wasn't for me. And my cousin was calling me every day like, hey, come back home. So I moved back to Denton, and I was supposed to take the test, the special education test, so I could be a teacher, and I missed it by 3 points. So I'm forced to become a substitute teacher for a year. So I did that, got certified, but at the same time, I started training. So during this year, that's DJ's sophomore year. And DJ has a meteoric rise because he's an athletic freak. So I was calling me and telling me about this kid. And, I go back home every now and then, so I find out about him. But me and DJ didn't come together until the spring going into his junior year. So, and that's when it all clicked. He came to one of our camps, gave me his number, found out that his dad was actually Coach O's teammate in JUCO. So we just locked in and followed each other. And that goes from if you know DJ doesn't talk that much, but on Instagram, I can get him to respond to anything I say. So we just message back and forth. And then gradually, come to 1-2 sessions. And then COVID hits. So the kid's not in school. So I get the kids all day when I want to. So it was weeks where I'm going 4 or 5 days a week. And that just helped it grow. I had a small group, maybe like 10, 15 kids overall, but it just gradually, just something that grew. Finished the first year, ended up taking a job at Madison, and at Dallas Madison in South Dallas. It was a good experience. As I'm growing as a trainer, I'm going across the state with Cojoe. We doing camps, Houston, San Marcos, West Texas, like Lubbock, El Paso. We just got back from El Paso like 2 weeks ago. But that's how it's growing, and my brand is going everywhere. And we're seeing all these kids across the state, just touching them, just because you got, like you say, it's 7-on-7, but it's nothing for linemen really. And now it's becoming more just because we made it that trendy. Like, if you want to be honest, we're giving them the light that they always deserve, and it's just something that'll come. Versus, let's move to modern day. Now Caleb's in college. So my first year, I had 1 kid sign D1. My second year, I had 10 kids sign D1. This past year, we're talking like 35 kids going D1, and I had the number 2 guard in the nation. The number 1 offensive lineman in the nation in Devon Campbell. You know what I'm saying? Top 8 player, whatever you want to call it. Some people had him 5, some people had him 8. But I said he was the best player in the nation. It's because you shouldn't be able to move like that at 6'2", 310. Like that's not realistic. But and that's where we're at now, where it's 180 kids across the state, 50 kids in college, and this is year 3. But it's so it didn't just happen.
Right. And so that kind of leads me to my next question. With the clientele list that you've created, talking about DJ Campbell, Andre Cojoe and Trevor Goosby and the likes, like you talked about, how do you pick the athletes that you work with on a one-on-one basis?
Okay, so as much as talent that I have came across and that I work with, I'm not turning away anybody. The thing about it is I'm going to put you through rigorous training, and it's up to you if you want to keep coming back. Like, it's been kids that have come see me like, hey, I want to train, I want to do all this. And 45 minutes into the workout, they over there up chucking, like it's coming out of them because it's an intense, it's something that they've never been. It's something focused. Like, you got to think, if you're not used to using your hips, if you're not used to bending, if you're not flexible, and you're working something that's never bent before, you don't know what's going on with your body, and it's burning.
Right.
So
right.
It's just honestly, it's just the kids that keep coming back. Like, I have a group of 10, 12 kids from one of my partner trainers in Houston in the Woodlands area that I go see, and they're going to come because they know, and he knows that I'm going to push his kids to the limit. Same with my kids. Like, my college kids come home, their college coaches know I'm going to work with them. And it's just built it's a word of mouth thing. As much as I am on social media, it's still a natural process of the kids that want to come work with me, they're going to come work with me. I'm not chasing kids. I'm not turning kids down. If they, I'm not getting every 5-star. I'm not chasing the kids because You got to think the kids that I work with, majority of them have grown. We got Andre's first offer to Texas. That was through Mike Roach. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like I went and got Andre when he was 10 offers in. You know what I'm saying? Like, and all the highly ranked kids, like the DJ Campbells, the Isaiah Robinsons, it wasn't like I was in their DM going to talk to them. We mutually came together. You know what I'm saying? So, but I don't turn around no kids. I'm honest with kids. Like, hey, you're going to be the best high school player you could be. You're going to go D3. You're going to go NAI. You're a D2 player. You know what I'm saying? You're a D1 kid. I'm realistic with them. I'm not just in this for the money or just selling them a dream. Like, no, I'm gonna tell you what level you can play at, and we're gonna be honest with you. And if you want to buy into this, you will. And if you don't, move around.
And I think that's something that's important is accountability, right? So coach has accountability to the player has accountability to the coach. And you have to be a truth teller, right? You have to tell them the hard truth that, hey, I can get you to a certain level. Your athletic ability will get you here. I can get you here. But at a certain point, that's all we're going to get out of this body. So transition to your clientele. What's the youngest athlete? Generally at what age do they start coming to your development camps? And then
okay, so the camps, those are strictly like 6th grade to seniors. But as far as the kids that I work with, I think I had a 7-year-old is the youngest kid I work with. Right now I'm currently training a 10-year-old once a week. His dad brings him to him, and he doesn't want him in a group session. It's just me and him for an hour out of the week. And his dad texts me today like, okay, it's Tuesday. I haven't heard from you. What day are we working this week? But for me, my rule is as long as they can pay attention, I'm willing to work with them. You know what I'm saying? Am I going to put them through the same drills I put through my high school kids or my college kids? No. If you ever been to my sessions, I break it down. Like I'll have my college kids, they'll do the same drill, but I'll add certain elements to their drill because they're further along in their development. Whereas I have younger kids, well, they'll just do base drill or they'll stay in their stance and they're just working on the fundamentals of everything. Because it's a gradual the thing that people have to learn. Kids do one or two things. They learn from other kids, or they also try to beat those kids instantly. And I have to tell them, like, no, lock in. It's me and you. Focus on just me. I'm telling you what I want you to do. I don't want you to look like him. He didn't look like him when he got here. You can ask any of my kids. You can ask Devon Campbell. He didn't look the way he did when he started where he is now. But that's because of the work that he put in. I don't take no credit for anything that these kids do because it's up to them to buy in. It's up to their parents to buy in. And it's up to them to fully commit to becoming what they tell me that they want to do. It's the difference between them telling me and showing me. And a lot of my kids commit to it. I have a lot of good kids.
That's fantastic. Okay, so talking technique, kind of talked with Trevor the other day when we interviewed him about the most important piece of a lineman. Like, what are you looking for in an offensive lineman? What makes an offensive lineman great? What's the most important trait that you find in a good offensive lineman?
The trait and then the technique is two different things. So the trait is fight. Like, you have to be mean. This is something where you're going to make a collision every play. And you have to be able to not turn it down once. If y'all run 100 offensive plays, you got to stick your head in there every day and just fight. And that's something that some kids have it, some kids don't. Some kids develop it. Like I have a kid who's been working with me, probably the longest tenured kid I have that comes to me every week. He's gradually becoming meaner. And it's good because it's happened and he has time. He's a 24 and I've had him since he's 7th grade. So now it's supposed to becoming that way. You know what I'm saying? But just right. The demeanor, like you should be able to see somebody as an offensive lineman because of the way they walk into the room, the way they carry themselves. Like, they're not seeking attention, but you can just command a room with your presence. Like that's an offensive lineman to me. Like DJ doesn't say a word, but you're going to know who he is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
technique is more about, I say you block with your feet. So you block with your feet, but the technique is just bend. Like I was a heavy waist bender. I wasn't really flexible. Whereas, so I can tell a kid where he's bending wrong, where he needs to sit his hips down, get his head back. But the feet is the most important thing because I tell kids all the time, I can be able to chop your hands off and you still be able to block somebody because essentially you're covering them up. That's what it is.
Right.
That's what you're liking it.
Right.
Especially somebody like Trevor who has the basketball body. Now we don't certain coaches don't like to say that because it's a lot less physical. But at the end of the day, the tutelage is the feet work of just stepping and going and understanding however far I step with one foot, I step with the other, and understanding I press off this foot to get to where I want to go. You know what I'm saying? So DJ and Trevor were both basketball players. Yes.
How do you think that additional sport, because basketball, you're running full court. Like you're having to play defense, you're having to slide your feet, you're having to get off the floor and rebound. How do you think that benefits athletes, especially on the offensive line?
For them, like for those two people, they're top tier athletes because you have to have some different athletic ability to do what they do at the size they do. Now, Trevor is a little bit longer and lankier. He's like 6'7", 280 versus DJ being 6'3", 310, 315. But they're both, you can see it in their springiness. You can see the way that they move. For DJ, and I'll use him first, it used to be a pull to get him off the court just because he's just so competitive, and he's always thought he was a basketball player. If you look at him, he wears sleeves and bands, and he wants to be, basketball is a lot more prettier sport, and that shows in who he is at times. But what it translates to is just the tenacity of always keep going. Like that's why his motor is as high as it is when he's in his best shape. You know what I'm saying? And that helped him a lot because he'll get heavy at times in the football season, but then I see him in basketball season, he's 290, and I'm just like, how does this happen? Like, how do you lose X amount of weight so fast?
Right. What's your diet? What are you doing? Yeah, but you're running it off. Yeah, you're doing all
sure.
cardio. So what are the strengths of those when we're talking about Campbell, Cojoe, and Goosby? What's your favorite asset that they have that they bring to the football field?
The three things that they all have in common is, like I said, is they all are coachable, but the nimbleness that they have. Like, there's a viral video of DJ pulling around in a scrimmage against 𝗟𝗜𝗞𝗘 again, where he mauls one of the twins. We love the twins. The twins is, what I'm saying, because I'm from out here. We love him. But no, he mauls the kid. And that's just the epitome of him. And if you watch his highlight tape from his sophomore year, you see him sprinting 40 yards downfield. And it's just like, offensive linemen don't do that.
Right, to beat the back into the end zone. Yeah.
Exactly. But the best part of his game is just because he's so athletic, he still wants to listen. So he understands. And that was my big thing, is just having him hone his athleticism into playing the position. And also, you got to think, he played right tackle. For y'all, he's going to play guard. So now me and him talking, it's just like understanding everything has to be shorter. Everything has to be quicker. You have to understand, like, it's happening now versus on that island outside. You got a little more time. You can be a little more cool. No, it's happening now. Like, it's a fight immediately. So for him, his knowledge and his wanting to be great. Like, you can see it. He just talks to you about it. He's consistently working. He's always doing something. And then Cojoe, when I seen Cojoe, he's 14 years old, and I call him like a dancing bear, like 6'5", 6'6", legit, 330 legit. But when he runs through the drill, if you look at him from his calf down, he looks like a tight end or something. Like, his ankle's real skinny. Now, he has a pot belly, and we're working on it. But but his just smoothness, his athletic ability, like, he does things so natural he doesn't even know. And the fact that he's gonna graduate at 16, early enroll at 17, like, that's just a mold of clay that you're never gonna get. Like, what kid have you seen at 6'7", 330 who wants to work? If his mother's a trainer, so he does everything possible. He does extra work with me. He does extra work with his coaches at school. He does extra work with his mom or his trainers, his weights trainers. Like, we're talking about somebody that's definitely bought into the idea of being the best he can be. Is he there yet? No, he's 16. But he has a workout, and if you ask Coach Flood about him, so he had a private workout last year. It wasn't this year. And Flood is just looking like he can really move.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just you don't expect that from somebody at his size. He's gargantuan, like, massive kid, and he could just move.
It's crazy. All three of them can move. Yeah, all three of them can move. Like you say, Trevor's a basketball player. DJ, like I say, sprints down the field and beats his running back to the goal line.
Exactly.
You're talking about a dancing bear who's agile at 335 pounds, and they're also smart. Trevor just turned 17.
Yes,
he's 16. You know what I mean?
And I tell people he has the biggest ceiling because of the way he's grown. Like, you got to think. Now he's 275, 285. He played last year at 240. You know what I'm saying?
I seen it. I seen it.
His sophomore year is 220. This is a kid that's really a basketball kid that every time I see him, he's bigger. Every time I see him, he's bought into the idea of, hey, I want to be a left tackle.
Yeah. 40 pounds and 3.5 inches in a year. That's crazy.
For sure. And that's real quiet kid, but he works and he understands the technical aspect of which they all do. And that's my thing, is to break it down to them in the simplest form and help them understand how to utilize their body, which ways to use. Because going back to my career, I wasn't athletic. I'm short, fat, and I had to know where I was going to be. They are way ahead of me athletically, but we're not going to lean on that, because once you get to places like the University of Texas, everybody has that type of athleticism. So now what separates you? So if you go watch DJ in the All-American game, before he goes out there the week prior, we're working because it's like, okay, Zach, they said they're going to have me snap. They're going to have me do this. They're sliding me inside. And we're taking short sets all week. We're working and just build that muscle memory, so that way when it comes together, he's using it. If you watch him, it's certain plays where he chokes the number one player in the nation and it's past it.
Yep.
But it's just, those are the reason I always tell my kids this, my not highly recruited kids, said the difference between y'all two, is not the God-given stuff. It's the fact that they want to keep getting better, and they have no ego in me telling them what's going on. And they're all more ranked than me. They're all, they've all been pursued more than I have, but they understand that what I'm telling them has translated because they've seen it in their own play. They go to these camps and they do the same drills, and it's just it all culminates to them like, okay, he might really understand. So now when they come back to me, it's like, hey, we did this, let's work on this. And that's the best part of it, is because once you break it down to them, they'll be able to always ask them like, okay, what you do wrong? And now they can tell me, and now we go from there because they understand how it's supposed to look, how it's supposed to feel, and now we can go from there.
So we talked about 7-on-7, right? 7-on-7 is for the skill position, linebackers,
Yes.
running backs, quarterbacks, and receivers. How does an offensive lineman get those reps through these camps? Like, how do you pick how do they come to, how do these camps come together to get these athletes these repetitions?
Okay, so I'm just a small part in this. The only camp that it's been 2 camps that are fully mine, and that's the camp that I had this January with Brandon Tucker that Cojoe put together. And then when we go to West Texas, when we have the offensive line camp, Cojoe has given me that one. That's just saying that's my camp. But I just play a small role in it. So you got people like Justin Owens, who is Cojoe. I'm wearing a shirt right now. You got Mike Wish. You got Brandon Tucker. You know what I'm saying? You have those guys in that era who've been doing this 10, 15 plus years. Like Brandon Tucker's been a D-line trainer 15 plus years. Cojoe has been helping kids in the Dallas area since he got hired at Spruce in 2004. But You got to think, COVID was the worst thing that happened, but the best thing that happened for us because there was no college football camps. So now we bring to the light of just now we don't have to have one-on-ones at Sunday at A+D1. Now we have an actual camp, and we have to send out the film. You got to come see us. So if you ask Mike Roach, it's Mike Roach there. It's TCU writers there, Baylor writers there, Texas A&M writers there, all there, just because they don't have anywhere else to go. They can't go to their college campus. They have to come to us to get the camp. And that really grew into where we're at now, where we have camps every 3-4 months outside of football season. And football season is off just because you go learn. But the thing that camps provide is giving us, we're able to put our hands on these kids, see how truly big they are, and we have those connections like a Mike Roach who we're able to say like, hey, this kid can play at your school. You should look at him. And that's what happens. Mike Roach comes and looks at a Devon Campbell at the camp, or he goes to see him play the first game at Bowie. You know what I'm saying? Or he comes to see Andre Cojoe, or he comes to see a Connor Stroh, who's a massive kid, but he just broke it. And then that's the first camp we see him. He's like 380, 400 pounds to where he's at now. And him and his trainer at Blue Chip O-line is just a different, like a monster. You got to think, we seen Jaden Chapman last year in San Marcos at our camp. Cojoe had a camp in San Marcos High. And we're like, okay, it's just an offensive lineman. He could look good, like 6'4", nice build or whatever. Then we come to the season, hey, it's this Harker Heights kid who's demolishing people, who has 30 offers. And we look up and I send it to him like, hey, he was at the camp in San Marcos.
All right.
Man, but all of these kids, they have to come through here. Even the Byron kid that's the D lineman for y'all that went to DeSoto.
Byron Murphy.
Yeah, he works with Tuck. He's been to our camps, all of this stuff. But these avenues that we have created outside of just sending out huddle film, now we have actual visual film of the one-on-ones, and it's culminated into something that's equivalent to 7-on-7 for kids. So 7-on-7 for kids that run triple option, and now they can go show you that they can run routes. One-on-ones, as much as in the offensive line, all the old they're stuck in their ways, like, no, shirt and shorts don't really help these kids. In actuality, whatever can get this kid seen in this day is on his phone. So everything
that's it.
And you're seeing it. So I've had kids get offers strictly off workout videos. I've had kids get offered from these camps. If Coach O has a model, we're going to have this camp. Somebody's going to leave here with an offer today. We've had 10 kids leave with offers. We've had one kid get 10 offers, and we had, one offer a day. But somebody's going to leave because of the amount of connections that he's put in, the groundwork that he's put in, and it's giving these kids a platform. He's giving me this platform. You got to think, I told you, he just threw me out there one day at a camp that we were having before COVID, and that's where him and Mike West was. But now we blossomed to this point where I can go somewhere. Hey, I'm in Houston today, and I'll get 5 to 10 kids. Or hey,
absolutely.
I'm in today, I'll get 10 kids. But that didn't just happen overnight. It seems like that to people that don't pay attention. But we've been working for this. It wasn't. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And I think your work speaks for itself and the progression of the athletes.
Yes.
You know, I could go out and put something on my Twitter space saying, meet me at Coppers Cove City Park. It's not going to have the same impact. Exactly. You know, it's the kids that are willing to come and, like I say, work with you and learn from you that are progressing their game, like you said, as they work with you over the years to get these high level D1 offers that make that happen.
And let's not act like
so kudos to you.
Yeah, let's not act like it's just me. Like, no, these are kids. See, the other part that we're not talking about is that we're giving these kids the totality of the situation. We're helping them understand, hey, you're 5'11" and 6'1", you're going to this level. Whereas if you're, let's say, take somebody for DJ, for example, he's only 6'2", 6'3", but we're talking about somebody who's supremely athletic. So that's why his recruitment is going the way it is. Andre Cojoe is 16 years old, 6'5", 330. You know, now we're just polishing him. Same thing with Isaiah Robinson, who's 6'7" or whatever. Or Connor Stroh, who's 6'8", 350, 330 now. You know what I'm saying? These are molds of clay that we have to put in work, and these kids are working. You know what I'm saying? So we're just getting – that's why I tell you, whatever the fullest amount of potential you have, we're going to get you. If you're good enough to go to SAGU, we're going to make sure you go try to be an All-American at SAGU. You know what I'm saying?
Love it.
If you're going to be at a 3A school, you're going to be the best player at the 3A school. That's just the goal of it. And it's because at the end of the day, that translates to you being a man. Offensive line play translates to being a man because I don't know if you have kids, but they ain't going to pat you on the back for whatever you do, but you got to wake up and do it every day. When you don't do right, you're going to hear about it. When an offensive lineman misses a block, the whole stadium says it. When the quarterback is sitting back there pretty, nobody says nothing to the offensive lineman.
Right.
And that translates to life. And I tell them that. And I always tell them, like, this, especially, you know, when their parents come, I say, you're not thanking them for bringing you here. I said, but that's equivalent to what's going to happen when you get old. I said, nobody's going to thank you because you're a man. You're supposed to do this. And it brings them all together and it helps them realize, hey, this has more impact than just me going to school. Like, no, this is something that I'm going to cherish the rest of my life.
Absolutely. Growth lessons and accountability. Like you said, it's accountable to that game film on Saturday afternoon when you're watching it in the field house.
For sure.
It's accountability during that practice to not have to do whatever exercise you have them doing when they mess up a rep. And like you said, team sports has grown me as an individual, and I know it's grown a lot of folks.
Definitely.
To be just better people and team players in the office space or whatever. So Zach, I'm gonna finish with this. If a parent wants their son to work with you, how would they be able to get a hold of you? How would they be able to reach you out and get to you?
So one, I get in trouble all the time because my phone stays in my hand. But the best way is Twitter, or I have a website. My website has my contact information, like my cell phone number and my email. But the best way is just Twitter, which Zach, ZACH is great _ And then I have ZachKnowsOL.com. It has my number on there, which I'm going to say just because it's already on there. It's not like it's going to do anything else.
Right.
817-821-9884. That's 817-821-9884. And the biggest thing is just I'm not selling dreams. Like, we're going to have an honest conversation about the level that I think your kid's going to play at. If you work with me, you have a direct line to Coach O if he feels like he can definitely help you. And it's something that it's just adding. Like, I just add to these kids. I'm not the end-all, be-all. That the kids that I work with on a day-to-day basis, I'm forced to be the end-all, be-all because these are my kids. I see them 24/7. But at the end of the day, those kids that I see on Saturday, I tell them, I said, it's just icing on the cake. You have to do more during the week. And I said, the stuff I teach, them kids can go do on their own. My kids at Tech send me the same workouts that we do every Sunday. They send me video of, and I tell them, the way they land, the way they move, all of that. And that's the biggest thing, is giving them tools so they can go be self-sufficient.
This is an absolutely phenomenal conversation, and I thank you for joining me. I want to do this again in the near future, but you've taught us a lot. You taught me a lot. I'm sure people that are watching this video have learned a lot. I thank you, and again, I want you to join us again if you have the time. Yes, thank you guys for watching Texas Football Talk with Zach Collins. Zach knows OL, and hit us up on Twitter at TX Football Talk. And see you next time. Hook 'em.